What saddens me the most when I see different people sharing about their homesteading journey and they're thinking about giving up because everything's just so overwhelming and exhausting, and it's nothing like the way they thought it would be, and they are wanting to quit. This is a sad thing for me because I know where they're coming from. I know where they are, and I know how to prevent it as well because I've been there. I've done the overwhelm thing, and then I've also been able to look back and see how I could have prevented all of that. And this is what I'm going to share today. This is the Homesteading for Beginners podcast, and I'm Mona Weathers, your homesteading mentor and coach. I'm here to encourage you to pursue your homesteading goals with the right mindset in a way that is healthy for you, your family, and your community. If you desire to establish a solid foundation for your homesteading journey, then you are in the right place. Join me as I share stories from the past 20 years of my own journey, as well as practical and actionable steps you can take to start and maintain a healthy homestead. Recently, I was scrolling Facebook and I came across a post from someone in one of the homesteading groups, and they were at their wits' end, basically, feeling very much like giving up. Her post happened to be about financially not being able to afford it and that sort of thing. And she did have horses. She mentioned that. And at some point I will do a series on horse ownership and homesteading because it's a different thing. It's very much a different world because we don't really use horses they don't pay us back normally. They can, but they don't always. So it's an expensive pet, basically. But I'll get into that at another time. But she happened to say that she had horses, so it kind of hit home and kind of reminded me of things that we've gone through in the past, and she was pretty much ready to give up. And thankfully, she was part of a community that lifted her up and helped her get through that. She updated her posts and said, "Thank you so much for this and all of your encouraging words." And a lot of people responded, so it was really nice to see. That is one thing I will be sharing about as well, is why you need to be in a community. And I've said this so many times, so it'll be repeat, but it is really important. But one of the things that I noticed about what she said was that she listed off a number of animals. And I know the tendency to get into homesteading for people who are new to homesteading, we really want that farm experience. But a farm experience like that can really, if you're not careful, can really get you in a bad situation. When we're dealing with animals, it's completely different. If you have just, your garden and things you're doing in your kitchen, your homesteading skills that you're developing in your kitchen, that's totally different. You're usually not overspending, and you spend the way it comes. I mean, that's not necessarily true for everyone, but it's not as easy to get trapped. But with animals, it's very easy to get trapped, and that they multiply, because animals, when you have a male and a female together, they will multiply. So quickly you have more chickens or more ducks or more things than you intended. Or maybe you did intend it because it would be fun to, incubate more chickens and that sort of thing. It quickly becomes this beast that you did not intend, and all of a sudden you have 50 different chickens. You have 25 ducks and a bunch of goats that you didn't mean to happen. And a lot of times, let me just tell you, that is actually what happened to me. Though you can use some of those animals to you can sell them, the extra animals, which I've done in the past as well. But in the meantime, while you're waiting to sell, you're paying for all of these animals. You're paying for all these extra ducklings and extra chicks and extra, things. And a lot of times feed prices can just skyrocket without you even I think that hits people the most is when lumber prices and feed prices go up. I think those are the two areas people do not realize can just happen instantly. Oh, and gas prices as well. But it seems like to me the lumber and feed prices going up pretty quickly is a common thing for the homestead relating to homesteading. And this would happen to us. We had dairy goats. We needed a high quality hay for our dairy goats so they would produce really good milk. We were paying a lot of money for really good alfalfa hay. And suddenly there was a shortage of some sort, and then we were paying even more money, and it was, it just can quickly get out of hand. I haven't really experienced too much that like grain will increase very quickly like that, but it can as well. This was it went from like $10 more, I believe, these hay bales. Than previous bales. So I haven't seen that in feed prices. It's usually a couple of dollars more, but not like a jump like $10 more. But it can happen. I mean, we have no guarantees that our feed prices are going to remain the same forever. So what ends up happening is things like this just keep creeping up on people. And even if over time you have, let's say, it does go up $5 or $6. Over time, you didn't realize that you were paying this years ago, and now you're paying this amount. So that's just one area. The other area is the fact that each animal is more responsibility. I know it doesn't feel like it when you have 10 chickens and you're like, oh, I'll just add a couple more. It's more responsibility. More chances of another bird getting sick, more chances of, something happening to that bird. And so it's not just a little bit more. I'm not saying don't increase the amount of animals you have. I'm just saying be aware that each animal that you add to the farm will take more time away from something else. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be a bad thing, and it could lead to overwhelm if you don't have a plan. This brings me to the workshop for homesteading beginners and dreamers that I have coming up tomorrow. If you're listening to this on May 2nd and May 3rd, the workshop is happening tomorrow. So, but the good news is the workshop is live on May 3rd at 12 p.m. Eastern. The good news is this workshop, just give me a couple days for me to get it all together, but it will be a replay, and it will be available to you with the Homesteading for Beginners workbook that I've updated special for this workshop. And we will be discussing these things in this workshop. I will be discussing how to prevent some of these things that I just mentioned, to have an income plan, to create a savings plan, how to join communities. I tend to be an introvert, or I am an introvert. And I know there was a time, it took me forever, I feel like, to actually get connected with my neighbors when we lived in California. But then once I was connected, then it was easier. So sometimes if you're like me and you just need a little bit of push or a little bit of guidance to get yourself connected to your local community and your online community, that's what I'm going to help you with as well. There's some information, some suggestions on how to connect with communities and communities that are supportive. Because I know, I have issues sometimes with Facebook, because just about every big Facebook account or big Facebook group will have these really mean people in them. And I don't know why these people are even there. And if you're one of those people, you probably don't know it. But let me just tell you, just be aware that everyone is at a different place in their life. And just how you present something to someone can make them really, make their day or tear them down. So, I know some people say some not super intelligent things online and in these groups sometimes, and you think that some people should be more ready than they are. But the fact is, a lot of people aren't, and they're entering their journey in a different place and have no idea what they're doing. But it is better to be kind and present information in a kind manner than it is to be judgmental. I'm just saying. That's how I operate. That's how I try to operate. I'm not perfect at it, but I know that I've been crushed by people's words, and I don't want to ever crush people by my words. So if you can think of it that way, like if people have crushed you with their words, don't repeat that. Don't repeat that on to someone else. But anyway, getting back to the workshop, I'll be going over some of the community stuff. We're specifically going over 3 different topics. How to find community and build community, how to have strategy and plans for income and savings, and just overall planning for your homestead, and how to have the right mindset. Now, I know when I talk about mindset, some people may be like, what does that even matter? Why does that even matter? Mindset is everything. Everything. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So if you're interested in this, you can go to healthyhomesteading.com/workshop. And if you are listening to this and check out that link in between May 3rd and a couple days after, there may not be, you may have to wait a few days to get the replay, because I'm giving myself a couple days to make sure it's all good and stuff like that. So, but if you make the purchase and purchase the workshop, you'll get the workbook right away, and the workshop will come. The workshop link will come. There is a Q&A if you do end up coming live. If you do end up coming live, there is a Q&A that I'll offer at the end, so you can ask your questions, anything you have about homesteading. I will be there to answer your questions. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to share that I understand your desire to expand your homestead. If you're a dreamer and you're just thinking about all of the things that you want to add and have for your children to play with and whatnot, I want to help you to create the life that you actually dream of, and not this overwhelming life that I described. And if you're a new homesteader and you're starting to feel this overwhelm coming or creeping, or you're already right in the middle of overwhelm, I can help you peel back some layers and get yourself on a lifestyle, on a journey that you really meant to have. And like I said before, I know what it's like. I know you just start adding things, you start seeing what other people are doing, you start getting more curious, and you want more and more and more. And then one day you're looking at your life and you're like, this is not what I meant to do. I just meant to be more self-sufficient. I didn't mean to have a life that I didn't really enjoy. And that can happen really easily, and it can happen to anyone. If you're interested in this workshop, just check out the healthyhomesteading.com/workshop. The link is also in the show notes. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.